Well, global warming is a major problem in California right now. And utility-caused wildfires is contributing to the worsening of that condition. And so we need strict enforcement of the safety rules so that utilities don't cause any more wildfires. And in this legislation, the legislature went the opposite direction. They lowered the standard to the point that whenever there's a wildfire from now on, the utility customers will automatically have to pay for it.
So you claim that the legislature acted improperly in this lawsuit. Why don't you elaborate on that for people who maybe don't know the legislature?
Well, the PG&E is a convicted felon, and they were convicted of felonies that are very pertinent, failing to maintain the safety rules at San Bruno, resulting in blowing up of their gas line and the killing of 8 people and the destruction of over 30 homes and great heartache. They were convicted of felonies and they were put on probation. So they're a felon that's on probation right now. Unlike most felons on probation, they didn't have to go to jail, but they do have to abide by the terms of their probation. And one of those terms was that they were going to be more careful in the way that they carried out their systems. The opposite happened. While they were on probation, they recklessly operated their systems and caused a series of fires in 2017 that killed many people. And then even after that, they operated their equipment unsafely in 2018, and perhaps the largest wildfire in California history, killing many people in Northern California. And the whole time, they were not obeying the rules in violation of their probation. After that happened, instead of redoubling their efforts to be safe, they decided it would be cheaper and easier to essentially bribe the legislature and the governor to convince them to pass legislation that would and has and will relieve PG&E of any responsibility for the wildfires. They're going to pass it on to first the taxpayers and then the ratepayers. Now, when I say bribe, I'm using that term in the broadest sense. Hundreds of thousands of dollars were given to legislators while PG&E was still serving out its sentence. Over $208,000 was given to the governor. They basically, in the legislation that PG&E and the other utilities wrote, the governor and the legislature basically just gave them everything they wanted. The utility customers weren't even basically consulted in the process. And so what we're saying is we're going back to the court that put PG&E on probation, and we're saying, Your Honor, look at what they've done. You've warned them and warned them and warned them, and instead of them abiding by what you've directed them to do, they've gone off and made allies by campaign contributions of the governor and the legislature, and have used the law, manipulated the law and the legal process to relieve themselves of any financial responsibility for their wrongful conduct and to put it on the backs of the working men and women of California.
And you're now asking for the same handling PG&E probation in this case. He said in open court when I was sitting there that he wants strong medicine for PG&E. Is that what you're trying to offer?
Well, what we're doing is we've brought a series of legal actions that make the case that what the governor and what the legislature did and what PG&E did is unconstitutional under our federal constitution, and it's unconstitutional under our state constitution, and we're asking the judge to set aside the legislation that was passed in violation of our U.S. and state constitution.
So the home run looks like the judge launching this law and saying y'all got to go back to the drawing.
Yes, the home run would be utility executives. You're given billions of dollars every year from the ratepayers. You have all the training, you have thousands of employees. It's your job to operate your company successfully with all the resources that you have. The CPUC's job is to protect the ratepayers. The legislature is to make sure that the CPUC does its job. What's happened now is the CPUC's job has been transformed to protect the utilities and not to protect the ratepayers. And the legislature's job has been to protect the CPUC and the utilities. And what we're arguing is we're saying, look, they've gone so far that they've violated the Constitution. No matter if you're a governor, a legislator, the head of a department, a commissioner, you have to comply with the requirements of the United States and the state constitution, and that's what we're asking for.
But to be clear, do you think the utility basically got everything they wanted?
Well, the utilities' appetite is so insatiable that I don't know that they could ever get everything they wanted. But to transfer, put it in these terms. Imagine if you started a fire recklessly and it burned down the house next door. Could you go to the legislature and have the legislature make the taxpayers pay for the damages? No, what would happen to you is, one, you would, if you were reckless, you'd be prosecuted. Two, you'd be sued, and you would have to pay for the damages. Now, why is it different? Because it's a corporation that has thousands of employees and billions of dollars under their control, and it shouldn't be. It should even be stricter when it comes to a corporation, because they're getting all the resources that they need from the ratepayers to buy the insurance, to repair the equipment, to do the trimming that is needed to be done, and yet they're still being given taxpayer money and ratepayer money to pay for the damages beyond the insurance. So just think about that. You can get all the insurance basically that you need. You can get all the money you need to repair and do the other things you need to do to avoid a wildfire, but you so mismanage your company that you exceed your insurance and you don't even make the repairs that you're supposed to make. That's just irresponsible, and the utility executives have to be held accountable.
The last thing I've got for you, who's paying for this lawsuit? You're suing on behalf of
Right now, this is a public interest lawsuit, and we are the attorneys. We have a great team of attorneys. We've been representing the utility customers on this issue since 2009. We've never been paid. We are representing utility customers right now before the United States Supreme Court. We filed a brief in opposition to the effort of the utilities to try to get the Supreme Court to let them off the hook. And someday down the road, if we're successful, we'll get compensated from the other side, but otherwise, we're paying for it and have paid for it for the last 9 years.
Last thing I got for you is, you've said before that you really wish that federal investigators would take a big look at this, and you used to be a federal prosecutor. What would they do that you're not able to do it?
Well, I think that the power of a United States grand jury should be brought to bear. There should be evidence gathered about the movement of money from PG&E, the convicted felon, to these powerful players in state government. There should be a thorough investigation to see if there's any other money that's changed hands. Exactly how the legislation was written up, and whether it was done at the behest of the utilities, what it certainly clearly appears to be. All of that information should be gathered up before the grand jury, and then a judgment call made whether there has been racketeering activity involved here with this legislation. This is, much less serious crimes are investigated by the FBI and by federal authorities than what appears to be very significant criminal behavior here. And hopefully we'll see the political willpower from the law enforcement from Northern California to step in and to do something.
Anything I didn't ask you, Mike, that you want to make sure you get across?
No, I think it's been fine. Thank you.
All right, hey, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.